Hello, welcome to my channel, Leah Decodes. She doesn't disappear because she feels nothing. She pulls back because what she feels scares her. Right now, you're probably telling yourself a familiar story. If a woman creates distance, she's not interested. If she goes quiet, she's playing games. If she hesitates, she's wasting your time. That story feels safe because it protects your ego from hope, but it's also incomplete and in many cases, dead wrong. Here's the truth most men never hear. When a woman is genuinely drawn to you, her nervous system lights up before her logic does. Attraction isn't calm at first. It's disruptive. It threatens her routines, her independence, her carefully constructed emotional armor. And when that armor feels at risk, fear doesn't look like running toward you. It looks like hesitation, inconsistency, and moments of silence that leave you confused. Think about what falling actually means to her. It means vulnerability. It means giving you leverage over her emotions. It means risking rejection, disappointment, or loss of control. If she's been hurt before, or if she's learned to survive by staying guarded, those risks feel enormous. So, when she senses herself slipping, she instinctively slows everything down. This is why you'll notice strange contradictions. She asks deep questions, then suddenly goes cold. She opens up late at night, then acts distant the next day. She remembers small details about you, but avoids making clear plans. These are not the moves of a woman who doesn't care. They're the signals of someone battling herself. Her mind is trying to protect her from the very thing her emotions are pulling her toward. One part of her wants closeness. Another part is sounding alarms, and fear is loud. Fear whispers that if she lets this grow, she might lose herself, lose control, or lose you later in a way that hurts more than leaving. Now, men often misread this moment. They chase harder, demand clarity, or pull away completely. Both reactions can collapse the connection. Pressure confirms her fear. Disappearing confirms her worst assumptions. What she's actually testing, often unconsciously, is whether you are steady without forcing her hand. Understand this clearly. A woman who feels nothing doesn't wrestle internally. She doesn't hesitate. She doesn't overthink. Indifference is clean and quiet. Fear is messy. Fear is hot and cold. Fear creates behavior that looks irrational from the outside, but makes perfect sense inside her emotional world. If you've ever felt that tension between how she looks at you and how she behaves, you're not imagining it. You're witnessing a woman standing at the edge of emotional investment, unsure whether it's safe to step forward. And what you do in this space determines whether her fear fades or hardens. This is the moment where patience becomes power, not passive waiting, not anxious silence, but grounded presence. You don't rush her emotions, and you don't retreat to punish her uncertainty. You stay consistent, clear, and self-respecting. That steadiness communicates safety louder than promises ever could. Safety to her is not about perfection. It's about predictability. It's about knowing that if she leans in, she won't be met with pressure, manipulation, or withdrawal. When your actions match your words, when your energy stays calm, even as hers fluctuates, her nervous system begins to relax. And as that fear softens, something subtle shifts. Her distance shortens. Her response is warm. Her curiosity grows. Not because you convinced her, but because you allowed space for her courage to catch up with her feelings. This is how fear transforms into trust, and hesitation slowly turns into choice without forcing the outcome today. The moment she starts to pull away, most men panic. You might feel the familiar sting. She's losing interest. I'm too late, or worse, I'll never get her. That's your mind making a story out of what's actually fear, not rejection. Fear is loud, chaotic, and often illogical. Rejection is silent and final. The difference is subtle, but it changes everything. When a woman hesitates because she's scared of falling, her body language tells a hidden story. She might avoid deep eye contact at times, yet glance at you when she thinks you're not noticing. She laughs nervously at your jokes, then suddenly seems distant. She texts inconsistently, yet her words are warm, personal, and precise. Each contradiction is a signal, not a puzzle. She is trapped between desire and self-protection, and every action she takes is a negotiation with herself. You see, fear is not the absence of attraction. It's the amplification of it. Her emotional system is running faster than her mind can process. She wants closeness, but her instincts scream, be careful. She worries that if she lets herself feel fully, she could lose her independence, be judged, or be hurt again. And so she hesitates, backs off, or even tests you without realizing she's doing it. Your response in these moments matters more than you realize. Most men react by trying to fix it, demand clarity, or punish her distance by withdrawing. All of these reactions amplify her fear. Instead, the power lies in grounded presence. Be steady, be predictable, be a calm force she can rely on without losing yourself in the process. This is how a man becomes magnetic to a woman who is terrified of her own feelings. Understand this truth. Her fear will create behaviors that seem contradictory, frustrating, or even irrational. She may flirt one moment, disappear the next. She may open up about intimate fears, then pull away as if nothing happened. This is not manipulation. It's her emotional system wrestling with desire and self-preservation. And if you misread as disinterest, you risk abandoning her just as she's inching closer to trust. Notice the patterns. When she reaches out unexpectedly, responds with enthusiasm, or shares small personal details, these are windows into her trust, not invitations to push harder, but signs that your steadiness is making a difference. Every small act of consistency, calm, and respect chips away at the walls her fear has built. You must also recognize what is not fear. A woman who is genuinely indifferent does not hesitate. She does not overanalyze, second-guess, or battle herself. Indifference is quiet, predictable, and emotionally flat. Fear, on the other hand, is loud, inconsistent, and emotionally charged. It's messy. And paradoxically, that messiness is proof that attraction exists. It's the fire struggling to breathe under a blanket of caution. This is why emotional patience is the ultimate test. Not because she's testing you consciously, but because the universe of her feelings is testing itself. If you remain anchored, she experiences a new kind of safety. The kind where she can explore intimacy without self-sabotage. You don't need to talk her through it or rationalize her fear. Your presence alone, the consistency, clarity, and calm energy acts as a mirror showing her courage, what it could look like to step forward. And when that fear softens, you'll see subtle transformations. Her hesitation turns into curiosity, her silence into conversation, her guardedness into openness. These are quiet victories that feel invisible day to day, but accumulate into profound emotional connection. She is learning to trust her feelings and you without being forced. The moment a woman begins leaning towards you, pay attention to how she moves. Not just if small gestures, minor words, brief touches of vulnerability. These are proof she's edging past fear. And the more you honor that pace, the faster her nervous system adapts. Fear begins to transform into trust, hesitation into choice, and the very thing that once pushed her away now pulls her closer. Here's a truth that most men never hear. The women who scare you the most with their hot and cold behavior are often the ones who feel the most. The ones who flirt, then withdraw. The ones who smile warmly, then vanish for hours. Their inconsistency isn't a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of the intensity of the emotions they're struggling to manage. And make no mistake, intensity can terrify even the strongest hearts. Her fear is a mirror. It reflects all the unspoken risks of falling for someone. Falling means vulnerability. Falling means uncertainty. Falling means handing over emotional territory. She's carefully guarded. The higher her walls, the more potent her attraction, because the walls exist precisely to manage what she feels for you. She's standing at the edge, testing whether it's safe to step in, and every hesitation is a battle inside her own mind. You'll notice she sends signals that contradict each other. One day, she's texting long personal messages that make you feel close to her soul. The next, she's distant, short, or seemingly uninterested. One moment, her body leans toward you in conversation, mirroring your gestures. The next, she retreats, her gaze flicking away. These aren't games. These are the fingerprints of fear on desire. And fear is never logical. It's survival. Most men interpret these moments as rejection, but they're not. They're invitations to show stability, patience, and understanding. They're opportunities to anchor yourself without being reactive. You cannot rush her feelings and you cannot force certainty, but you can remain present, calm, and emotionally unshakable. That steadiness communicates what words cannot. Safety. And safety is what allows fear to soften into choice. Here's what happens when a man understands this. He stops overanalyzing every word, every pause, every double text. He stops measuring interest by immediate consistency. Instead, he learns to see patterns of genuine engagement hidden beneath the surface of hesitation. He notices the effort she puts into connecting when she's scared. He recognizes the warmth behind the distance. He observes without judgment, offering presence instead of pressure. The key is subtlety. Every word you say, every gesture you make should create a rhythm that aligns with her emotional state without trying to control it. Too much intensity will amplify her fear. Too much absence will confirm it. The balance is in grounded presence, the kind that feels reliable, firm, and respectful of her inner battle. You may ask, but what if she never steps forward? That's where discernment comes in. Fear is not a guarantee of love, but it is a clue. A woman who feels nothing doesn't hesitate. She doesn't overthink. She doesn't wrestle with herself. Her distance is flat, predictable, and emotionally quiet. A woman caught between desire and fear is messy, unpredictable, and emotionally vibrant. Messiness is proof of depth. Understand this. When she fears falling, she is not pushing you away to test you. She's pushing herself away to protect herself. The pull toward you exists. It's strong, undeniable, and real. And the more you embody calm, confidence, self-respect, and consistency, the more you give her nervous system the space to catch up to her feelings. Finally, notice the small openings. The slight smile when she sees you, the quick check-in text that comes when she's scared of being too close. The way she laughs nervously at jokes, touches her hair, or mirrors your stance. These aren't coincidences. They're breadcrumbs of emotional courage, tiny invitations that signal she's leaning toward you, even when fear wants her to retreat. This is the hidden truth most men miss. The behaviors that frustrate you are the same behaviors that reveal attraction. Fear is the veil. Your job is to stay present, steady, and reliable until she feels safe enough to lift it. Because once that veil drops, what emerges is far more powerful than a casual flirtation. It's connection born from trust, choice, and the rare courage to risk falling. When a woman hesitates, it's easy to interpret it as a lack of interest. But hesitation is not the absence of attraction. It's the presence of self-P protection. Deep down, she feels something she cannot fully trust yet. Something powerful enough to make her question herself. She wants closeness, yet she fears it. She wants intimacy, yet she fears loss. She wants to surrender, yet she fears being overwhelmed. And that tension is where real attraction and real connection are born. Her fear manifests in countless subtle ways. She might cancel plans at the last minute only to suggest another meeting hours later. She might flirt with intensity one moment and pull back the next. She may speak openly about her feelings, then act distant as if nothing happened. Men often see these as mixed signals, as indecision, or as emotional games. In reality, they're the heartbeat of a woman who's standing on the edge of vulnerability, unsure if it's safe to jump. You need to understand the psychology behind this. When a woman fears falling, her mind exaggerates potential risks. Her imagination plays out every worst-case scenario. She worries that opening her heart will result in rejection, disappointment, or loss of control. Every emotion becomes magnified. Every small interaction is dissected, analyzed, and filed in the ledger of her nervous system. And in that process, her behavior may look inconsistent, but the underlying current is undeniable desire. Your role in this dynamic is deceptively simple, but incredibly rare. Remain steady, not forceful, not passive. Steady. Be the kind of presence that allows her fear to meet trust, that lets her desire catch up with her hesitation without pressure. Every impatient text, every demand for clarity, every withdrawal of attention intensifies her fear. Every calm, consistent, and reliable action chips away at it. This is how attraction grows in women who are scared to fall. Pay attention to her subtle signals. A glance held slightly longer than necessary. A laugh that lingers in your direction. Questions that go deeper than casual conversation. Small touches, unplanned gestures, or moments when she shares private thoughts without prompting. These are signs that despite her fear, she's moving toward you. And notice they often appear in bursts, then retreat like waves testing the shore. Your job is not to control the tide, but to remain steady on the beach, watching, waiting, and radiating calm confidence. Most men fail here because they misunderstand fear as rejection. They react, they chase, they push, they vanish, and in doing so, they confirm her fears that attachment is risky, that closeness is dangerous, that vulnerability is unsafe. The paradox is that attraction thrives in the presence of fear when met with calm. Pressure kills it, absence kills it, but steadiness nurtures it. Remember, her fear is a reflection of her emotions' intensity, not a commentary on your value. She hesitates because what she feels is real enough to threaten her. Carefully maintain defenses, and the more real her fear, the more potent her attraction. Emotional hesitation is proof that her system is engaged, alive, and processing the truth of her desire. When you understand this, your perspective changes. You no longer panic when she retreats. You no longer overanalyze her texts. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself. Instead, you cultivate presence, patience, and grounded energy. You show her that leaning in is safe, that desire need not be dangerous, that vulnerability can be shared without cost. And as she feels that the very behaviors that once frustrated you, the hesitations, the hot and cold energy, the temporary withdrawals become markers of progress, breadcrumbs leading toward deeper connection. This is the hidden secret most men miss. The woman who hesitates is not rejecting you. She is negotiating with herself. She is fighting fear to make space for love. And the man who understands this, who sees the signals, who responds with calm steadiness rather than reaction, becomes not just a presence in her life, but a catalyst for her courage to love fully. When her fear softens, the pull you felt from the beginning transforms. Hesitation gives way to choice. Uncertainty becomes curiosity. Emotional walls shift into openness. And what emerges is no longer a fragile attraction. It's a connection built on trust, patience, and the unspoken truth that she was never avoiding you. She was simply scared of falling. By now, you should understand one fundamental truth. The behaviors that confuse and frustrate you, the delays, the retreats, the contradictions are not signs of indifference. They are proof that she is engaged, emotionally alive, and wrestling with the magnitude of what she feels. Fear is messy, but it is also a compass pointing directly to desire. The hotter the fear, the deeper the attraction. Every hesitation, every pause, every moment of hot and cold energy is a test, not of you, but of her own ability to trust. She's measuring whether you are steady enough to weather the storm of her emotions without collapsing, without reacting, without losing yourself. And make no mistake, your reaction will define the trajectory of your connection far more than hers ever will. Calm, confident presence is magnetic. Panic, pressure, or withdrawal is repelling. Notice the small openings, a lingering smile when you make eye contact, a question that shows she's thinking about you even when she's busy, a subtle touch that seems accidental but carries intent. Each of these is a signal that her nervous system is slowly aligning with her emotions. She's inching toward choice, toward risk, toward the vulnerability that she both craves and fears. And your ability to see and respect these moments without overstepping determines whether she feels safe enough to continue moving closer. It is vital to remember indifference is flat and predictable. Fear is jagged, chaotic, and emotionally charged. If she felt nothing, she would not pull away. She would not question. She would not hesitate. The intensity of her fear is the intensity of her desire. And the man who learns to read this correctly gains a rare advantage. He understands the difference between being avoided and being feared for being felt too strongly to act without caution. Now, let's talk about your role in the final transformation. Your energy must be anchored in clarity and self-respect. You do not need to coax her feelings. You do not need to solve her fear. You do not need to prove your worth. What you do need to do is embody reliability, consistency, and emotional stability. Be the calm in the storm, the steady hand in the chaos, the presence that does not retreat even when her energy fluctuates. This is how a man becomes irresistible to a woman, wrestling with the fear of falling. Here's what happens when you master this dynamic. Her hesitation begins to soften, her walls loosen, her questions become invitations rather than defenses. She starts leaning in without realizing it. She begins to trust her own feelings and by extension yours. And slowly, the fear that once pushed her away becomes the very force that pulls her toward deeper connection. At this point, the relationship begins to shift. The distance that once confused you becomes purposeful. The contradictions that frustrated you become evidence of engagement. The quiet pauses and retreats transform into moments where her nervous system is aligning with her heart. And in this alignment, real intimacy is born. A bond rooted not in manipulation, games, or certainty, but in the delicate balance of desire, trust, and emotional courage. Before we end, I want you to reflect on something deeply personal. Think about this equation. The level of your steadiness multiplied by the intensity of her fear equals the depth of connection she is capable of. Consider it carefully and tell me in the comments. If your steadiness is high and her fear is intense, what does that make the potential between you two? Like this video if it opened your eyes, subscribe for more insights into female psychology and dating dynamics, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this truth. Trust me, understanding this changes